doing? Trinity 2, Sunday the 21st of June 2020. Also, Father's Day. Welcome to this podcast, this sermon online, whatever you call it. Welcome if I know you, or if you just come along for a little snoop, because you can go to church now without actually going to church. So welcome if you come for a little nose to see what it's like around here. More than welcome, more than welcome. The news to start with. Number 1, churches are allowed to open for private prayer from Monday the 22nd. But there's going to be a fair bit of thinking to do before that actually turns into reality. But it's the beginning. We're allowed now, if we've got the facilities, if we've got the volunteers, if we've done the risk assessment, if we've read all the paperwork that has just been sent to our inboxes, we are allowed to open for private prayer from Monday the 22nd. So watch this space. It is my intention, but it's going to be slow and deliberate that we do that. Number 2, money. Thank you. All of you who are dropping in your envelope as you pass. Though the buildings have been closed for a long time, the church is still here. We're still up to things. We're online. We're praying for you. We love you. And so it's been brilliant, those of you that have been putting money through the door to keep us going. Also, as ever, you could sort of set up a standing order with the treasurer. Or there's that Church in Wales scheme where you give money to the Church in Wales, they immediately give it to us, the local church. And now there is a new option. A new giving option. On our website, if you go to our website, on the front page, you will find a link. And if you're under 21, you'll find a QR code as well. And those will take you to our giving page where you can give electronically if you want to. It's actually something we've been planning for a really good while, before COVID-19 started. Say somebody wanted to give a donation at a wedding and they didn't have any cash with them. We were going to sort of buy a card reader, set up ourselves online so we could accept electronic donations. And then we've done that. So if you go to our website, like I say, you'll find a link or a QR code. Follow that, it'll take you to our giving page where you can give anything you want to, really, and it comes to us to keep the church going. Number 3, we are still meeting regularly on Tuesdays. We're having our Zoom coffee mornings. It's not the same as being in person, but it's good to just natter and chatter and to bounce off each other. So 3 o'clock this coming Tuesday the 23rd, we'll gather for our Zoom coffee morning again. More than welcome. Just let me know if you want to come, and I'll let you know sort of the password to join in. Number 4, these talks, they go in broader and wider. It's a positive flip side of this COVID-19 that we've gone online, and these talks are going far and wide. If you want them posted to somebody, let Julie know. She will print them out and she'll send them out every week in the old postal service so people can enjoy the downloaded words. So let us know if that is possible. We don't want to stop people being able to sort of be part of what is going on just because they haven't got any technology. So let us know if you want them posted out to you. Right, back to today. Jeff is going to do our reading for us today. So I will hand over the screen to Jeff as he reads to us the scripture reading for today. Over to you, Jeff.
The reading today comes from Matthew 10, verses 24 to 39. The message. A student doesn't get a better desk than her teacher. A labourer doesn't make more money than his boss. Be content, pleased, even when you, my students, my harvest hands, get the same treatment I get. If they call me, the master, downface, what can the workers expect? Don't be intimidated. Eventually everything is going to be out in the open, and everyone will know how things really are. So don't hesitate to go public now. Don't be bluffed into silence by threats of bullies. There's nothing they can do to your soul, your core being. Save your fear for God, who holds your life, body and soul, in his hands. Forget about yourself. What's the price for a pet canary? Some loose change, right? And God cares what happens to it as much as you do. He pays even greater attention to you, even down to the last detail, even numbering the hairs on your head. So don't be intimidated by all this bully talk. You're worth more than 1,000,000 canaries. Stand up for me against world opinion. I'll stand up for you before my Father in heaven. If you turn tail and run, do you think I'll cover for you? Don't think I've come to make your life cozy. I've come to make a sharp knife cut between son and father, daughter and mother, bride and mother-in-law. Cut through these cozy domestic arrangements and free you for God. Well-meaning family members can be your worst enemies. If you prefer father or mother over me, you don't deserve me. If you prefer some son or daughter over me, you don't deserve me. If you don't go all the way with me, through thick and thin, you don't deserve me. If your first concern is to look after yourself, you'll never find yourself. But if you forget about yourself and look to me, you'll find both yourself and me.
Thanks for that, Jeff. Okay, back to me for the thought for this week, based on that little bit of Matthew 10 that Jeff just read out. There's been a little bit of backlash in the news recently. You may have noticed it. About white people and the privilege that they allegedly have, and non-white people and the privilege they allegedly don't have. I'm being quite candid in my words here. There have been people calling for American police to have their funding taken away, and then scenes of police officers kneeling to apologise for the less than professional officers in their organisation. It's been bubbling away forever, and it's bubbled over at this present time, in America especially. And a video has resurfaced on social media that was made a few years ago. It talks about the fact that in this thing called life, when you line up against your peers, you may look like you're starting from the same place, but you're actually starting from subtly different places. In this video, which I'll put on in a minute, but I'll describe here in case you want to fast forward it, or you're accessing this talk on the paper version. In this video, a line of teenagers are about to have a race, but they're told to take 2 steps forward for each of the statement that applies to them, and then some statements get read out. The statements are things like, if your parents are still married, if you had a father figure when you were growing up, if you never had to worry about your mobile phone being cut off, if you never had to have help with the household bills. If you recognise those, you can take 2 steps forward. The race is then started, and actually some of those who were not able to move initially due to the statements, they did really well. But it was obvious to see that we may all look like we're starting from the same place, but we're actually starting from different places because of the decisions of others when we were younger. They're kind of outside of our control. Here's the link. Have a watch.
Hey, line up! Line up! Everybody line up! We're about to race! Everybody line up! Shoulder to shoulder. Take off your backpacks. Basketball, line up. We're about to race. Hey, we are racing for a $100 bill. The winner of this race will take this. A $100 bill. Before I say go, I'm going to make a couple statements. If those statements apply to you, I want you to take 2 steps forward. If those statements don't apply to you, I want you to stay right where you're at. Take 2 steps forward if both of your parents are still married. Take 2 steps forward if you grew up with a father figure in the home. Take 2 steps forward if you had access to a private education. Take 2 steps forward if you had access to a free tutor growing up. Take 2 steps forward if you've never had to worry about your cell phone being shut off. Take 2 steps forward if you've never had to help mom or dad with the bills. Take 2 steps forward if it wasn't because of your athletic ability, you don't have to pay for college. Take 2 steps forward if you never wondered where your next meal was going to come from. I want you guys up here in the front just to turn around and look. Every statement I've made has nothing to do with anything any of you have done. Has nothing to do with decisions you've made. Everything I have said has nothing to do with what you've done. We all know these people up here have a better opportunity to win this $100. Does that mean these people back here can't race? No. We would be foolish to not realize we've been given more opportunity. We don't want to recognize that we've been given a head start. But the reality is we have. Now, there's no excuse. They still got to run their race. You still got to run your race. But whoever wins this $100, I think it'd be extremely foolish of you not to utilize that and learn more about somebody else's story. Because the reality is, if this was a fair race and everybody was back on that line, I guarantee you some of these black dudes would smoke all of you. And it's only because you have this big of a head start that you're possibly going to win this race called life. That is a picture of life, ladies and gentlemen. Nothing you've done has put you in the lead that you're in right now. When I say go, on your mark, get set, go! If you didn't learn anything from this activity, you're a fool.
There we are. What did you make of that? Now, I have learned this truth in many of my dealings with people. I've often come across somebody who is hard work, shall we say. And when you chat with them, you find that they've had a hard start. And all things considered, they're doing really well. They're doing really well. Similarly, you come across people who are hard work, and you chat to them and you find, actually, they've got nothing to complain about. They could do with a good shake. I was half happy with the video, as it did a good job of tackling the tricky subject of showing that you need to walk in somebody else's shoes before you generate an initial opinion of them. But I have to say, I was also a bit narked that some of the things there were regarded in this day and age as an advantage. The things that irked me were things like parents still married and father figure when you grew up. And they narked me because in God's plan for us, these things were intended as a given or as a baseline or for all. But such is the way that the world has forgotten God, these things are now seen as advantages that some people have, a leg up. I don't know, it just narked me, the truth is, and it's not politically correct, that the family unit of mum, dad, children is the best way to have a strong society and a safe place for children to grow up. Study after study has shown this, but as I say, they don't make it to the political arena necessarily. Don't get me wrong, there are times when sadly the best thing for a family is for the mum-dad relationship to end. And also sometimes a single mum-dad is a much better option for children than when one of the parents is abusive or controlling. Looking back in time, when I was growing up back in the 80s, all of my friends had married parents, and even the naughty children came from a family where there was a mum or dad. I can't say what the quality of those relationships were, but marriage was the norm. People were married. Now with my children's friends, many of them have a home where there's only one parent, or there are step parents, because there's been a marriage breakdown and a subsequent second marriage. Many times there's no marriage, as some people feel if you don't get married, then you can't get divorced. And I know that for some children, they grow up wondering when their parents are going to get divorced. It's just so prevalent. It's something that happens to everybody. Now, as well as being the second Sunday of Trinity, this is the weekend where in the United Kingdom, we have a shout out for fathers. We have a shout out for dads. I do wonder how long this is going to continue, though, as people often say it's unfair on those who have no father figure present or don't actually know who their father is. In the reading for today from Matthew's Gospel, Jesus does say some really tough things about family, which, to be honest, are better broached in a Bible study than in a sermon, so we're not going to go in too deep. They're all about getting the focus, though. Jesus is saying, get the focus from me thinking to thinking about others, or to thinking about putting Jesus in the central stage. Jesus is the best life coach you can want. He'll never let us down, and we must value his opinion and his leadership above all else. And that includes, from time to time, the things that our family members who we love and trust say. If Jesus says something and it contradicts what the family norm is, we've got to listen to Jesus. We've got to listen to Jesus. But, and this is a big red flashing but with a siren going off in the background. That said, we must never forget that regardless of our earthly circumstances, all of us have a heavenly Father who loves us and cares for us and knows us completely. He knows all about us, he gets us, and is even able to count the number of hairs on our heads, which for some of us is a daily change in the negative direction. It doesn't matter if you've got a real earthly dad that you know and have a relationship with. You've got a heavenly dad. Everybody's got a heavenly Father. And Jesus, as a life coach, willing to cheer you along. I don't really want to waffle on more than that this week. Just to say, regardless of what start you have had so far in life, because of the choices and the challenges of those who nurtured you, know that your brother Jesus will walk with you wherever, and that your Heavenly Father looks down on you constantly and cheers you on in everything you try. You might not have been fortunate to have a positive earthly father figure given you, but you have a Heavenly Father who loves you so much that he'll go to the ends of the earth for you. He's your dad, and you are his child. It's really good news. Really good news. Some questions then to ponder, to kind of bring all that together. 4, as ever, here are your 4. Number 1, do you struggle with the idea or word father? I know some people do. Do you struggle with the idea or the word father? If you do, let's get it out in the open. Yeah? Number 2, do you struggle with the idea or phrase Heavenly Father? Do you struggle with the idea of phrase Heavenly Father? Do you feel he's tucked you up sometimes, hasn't answered your prayers? Let's get that out in the open as well. Number 3, who were your positive role models as you grew up? including your family, outside your family? Who were the positive role models that you had as you grew up? And you think back, who formed you? Who formed you? I had a good English teacher. She made me think. Number 4, who can you be a positive role model to today? Who is in your sphere of influence, shall we call it? Who can you be a positive role model to today with your Christian values and views and the way that you view life? Who can you be a positive role model to today? All right, the song for today. Well, I've dug up something about God being Father and us being his children. It's called No Longer Slaves. And I've gone for the Bethel worship version. There's many versions out there. So yeah, follow the link in the talk for that, or I'll bolt it on at the end as normal. For now, our time together is coming to an end. So let me pray for you. And together, close your eyes. A little prayer. Dear God, thank you that you are our Heavenly Father. Thank you that we can be your children and be adopted into your family and be eternally safe. Thank you for all those who are trying to be good earthly fathers in these difficult days. Good to be with you, everybody. Maybe really soon we'll be able to see each other across a quiet church. The beginning of the roadmap to us getting back to the new normal. God bless. Keep safe. I'll see you soon. Hopefully, really soon.
And you unravel me with a melody. You surround me with a song of deliverance from my enemy, till all my fears are gone. Yes, you unravel me with a melody, and you surround me with a song of deliverance from my enemies, till all my fears are gone. Now I'm no longer a slave to fear. I am a child of God. No, I'm no longer a slave to fear. I am a child of God. From my mother's womb, you have chosen me. Love has called my name, and I've been born again into a family. Your blood flows through my veins. Sing it again. From my mother's womb, you have chosen me. I know love has called my name, and I've been born again and the daughters of a good, good Father. Oh, sing it out. Oh, 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 Word says that the earth's been groaning for us to realize who we are. And I want to just let that song out, that Christ, the hope of glory inside us, a song of sons and daughters singing to their Father. Just want you to start lifting your voice. A song of confidence. We can be confident because He's sure about us. He's confident in His choice. Oh, let it rise, let it beginning to sink in. It's beginning to sink in.